Friday afternoon, HR called me into the small glass room and spoke in a voice meant to sound protective. She said the promotion request had been paused inside budget allocations, as if my work had wandered off and gotten misplaced. I thanked her, shook her hand, and walked out with a calm face that fooled the interns. At my desk, I did not complain. I opened my notebook, confirmed the date, and reviewed the file I kept for anything tied to our flagship partner. I set a reminder, archived email, and waited in silence. The office noise continued, but I felt the shift coming. When people who have done decades of work sense trouble, they do not chase it. They prepare for it. Monday arrived with polished shoes and nervous smiles. The receptionist announced a visitor from the partner firm. Their attorney entered holding a sealed packet, then asked for the chief executive by name. No small talk, no coffee, no tour. Every head turned, then every conversation died. 10 minutes later, the chief executive stormed into the hallway demanding answers. The packet was a lawsuit for unpaid royalties, with figures large enough to reshape careers and reputations. He kept repeating one question: why would a 75 million partner sue us over my title? Legal tried to laugh it off, then pulled my contract to prove there was no connection. The lawyer stopped on the second page. His eyes tracked a paragraph twice, then his fingers gripped the paper as if it had weight. He looked at me, not with anger, but with recognition. His hands began to shake. I did not sit in the executive row. I sat where the work had to be correct, even when nobody applauded it. My job was compliance for the partnership program, the quiet machinery that decides who is paid, when the payment is released, and which title has signing power. I wrote the operating language, so I knew where every lever was hidden. I kept backups at home, printed quarterly summaries, and never trusted memory when careers were on the line. 2 years earlier, the company wanted speed. They pushed an invention and royalty agreement across my desk and told me it was routine. It promised a title upgrade by a fixed date and protection for the royalty stream tied to that title. I did not argue. I read every line, asked for the schedules, and requested the version history. They joked that I was old-fashioned. I smiled and kept reading. The clause I added was plain. If the promotion did not occur by the agreed deadline without documented cause, the reporting authority would shift automatically and a penalty would become due at the next audit cycle. No threats, no drama, just structure. The partner demanded it and legal approved it because it sounded harmless. What HR called a budget delay was the exact trigger. Friday was the deadline. When that date passed, the system did what it was built to do. It flagged the reporting change, logged the breach, and notified the partner audit team. By the time the attorney walked into our lobby, the switch had already flipped. Nobody had denied a raise. They had activated a contract. In the conference room, the CEO tried to drown the problem with volume. He called it an HR misunderstanding, said a title change could not invite litigation, and insisted the client was posturing for leverage. He spoke fast, checking faces for agreement, as if confidence could rewrite paper. Our attorney stayed seated and opened the contract as though it were a medical chart. He read each section slowly, clear enough for the recorder, and the air tightened with every line. Eligibility language, royalty certification, reporting authority, penalty schedule, assignment of rights. Then the sentence that mattered, written to operate without permission once the deadline passed. The CEO turned on HR and demanded why nobody warned him. HR pointed at legal. Legal pointed at the CEO and reminded him the signature was his, and the deadline was not optional. Someone tried to joke about budget cycles. Nobody laughed. Even the coffee machine seemed to stop humming. A veteran director stared at the table like he had seen this kind of ending before. Then the attorney asked one simple question: who controls the royalty reporting portal and its access logs? The room went still. People looked at the CEO, then at the head of finance, then at IT, then back at legal. I raised my hand without drama and said I do, as part of compliance governance. The CEO blinked, suddenly careful. He asked if I could reverse the report. I answered that the system does not reverse, it records. It timestamps, not negotiates. That is why the partner trusts it. And that is why their attorney was already in our building. That afternoon, they did not ask how I felt. They asked what I could do. The CEO summoned me to his office and softened his tone. He spoke about loyalty, late nights, and stability, then offered the promotion immediately, as if a new title could erase a missed deadline. I let him finish. Then I placed a printed copy of the clause on his desk and tapped the audit cycle date. The trigger had already executed. The partner's attorney had already filed the complaint. The penalty amount, $525,000, was already due under the agreement we had signed. He tried a warmer angle and suggested a friendly call to smooth things over. He asked me to give him access to the portal so he could submit a corrected report. I told him the truth without raising my voice. Access was conditional. The system recognized my role, not his urgency. Once the deadline passed, my authority became the default authority and key actions locked unless the clause requirements were met. He stared as if I had set a trap. I had not. I had built a process that protects both sides when leadership gets careless. The partner demanded a neutral reporting chain, and legal approved it for the same reason insurers demand alarms. He asked what it would take to open the locks. I answered, document the breach, fund the escrow, notify the board, and follow the settlement steps exactly. Then I stood up, thanked him for his time, and walked out, leaving him alone with the paper that could not be negotiated. This time, he could not. The next morning, the board called an emergency session before most people finished coffee. Not because they cared about my title, but because a $75 million partner does not sue on a whim. Once attorneys enter the room, reputation outruns revenue, and directors know it. They asked for a timeline. I gave it like a report, not a plea. Contract signed. Deadline set. HR delayed the promotion. The clause activated automatically. The portal issued an exception notice. The partner audit team received it. Their counsel served papers. Every step had a timestamp and an owner. The CEO tried to turn the table into a personality trial. He said I was difficult, rigid, uncooperative. He claimed I was punishing the company over a job label. I did not argue. I explained why the agreement existed. The partner wanted protection against hidden royalty games, and they demanded certified reporting by a specific role, not by whoever was loudest that week. A director asked the question that mattered. Why would a promotion concern the partner? I answered calmly. My title determined signing authority for royalty certification, and the partner acquired that authority to sit with the person who built the compliance controls. The chair requested my folder. I handed over exhibits, email headers, and the audit schedule. The CFO stopped tapping pen. Nobody spoke for a minute. Then the room shifted. HR had not denied a raise. HR had broken the governance chain the partner relied on. The board did not look at me anymore. They looked at the CEO and at the space where oversight should have been. By noon, the board moved like people who have seen preventable disasters before. They ordered an internal investigation, not into my attitude, but into who diverted the agreed promotion path and why. Compliance pulled system logs. Legal pulled approval trails. HR pulled compensation notes, and suddenly the word budget appeared in 5 different fonts. Emails surfaced. In one thread, a manager wrote that keeping me in a lower band would free money to elevate his favorite into a director seat. Another message joked that I would stay grateful and quiet. When the investigator read that line aloud, even the CEO stopped speaking. While they hunted motive, the partner attorney demanded immediate escrow for disputed royalties. That single demand froze payments across 2 departments that had been sloppy for years. Purchase orders stalled. Bonuses paused. Vendors called. People who never learned my name started asking where I sat. The CEO requested a private meeting, this time without an audience. His voice dropped. He said he never meant for it to go so far, that HR had misunderstood, that we could patch it fast. I told him it went far the moment he treated a contract deadline like a suggestion. By Friday, the board approved my promotion retroactively, with signatures and a press-ready memo. Retroactive did not undo the trigger. So they approved settlement steps, fund the $525,000 penalty, formalize escrow, and restore reporting under my supervision. At the end of the session, the chair asked the CEO to step outside. The door closed. The silence inside felt like the beginning of a new order. Monday began with security badges reissued and calendars wiped clean. The CEO kept his corner office, but his access changed. 2 board members took his approvals, and every partner decision required a second signature before it moved. By lunchtime, managers were herded into conference rooms for damage control. They brought slides, but no answers. Legal asked for every email chain tied to royalties, then locked the files. HR posted a short internal note about improving process, while quietly updating job codes they had ignored for years. The partner team flew in and skipped pleasantries. They inspected the escrow account, reviewed the portal logs, and demanded a weekly certification call led by compliance. The moment reporting returned to a clean trail, they paused public pressure and allowed settlement drafts to proceed. Finance froze spending and reopened it under tighter controls. IT rotated credentials and logged admin change. A line formed at my desk as managers asked how to certify work before the board packet. Behind closed doors, the investigation reached its conclusion. The CEO had pushed HR to delay my promotion until after the audit cycle, hoping to save budget and keep leverage over the portal. The board did not shout. They called it negligence and recorded it in minutes that could survive court. A month later, his resignation appeared as a calendar invite. No farewell speech, no last lap, no speeches about culture. His name vanished from approvals overnight. The new interim sponsor asked me for one thing only: keep the partnership stable. I nodded and opened my binder because stability is what experience does when the noise finally stops. If you're over 50, you have watched confidence win meetings and lose audits. You know the real power is not charisma. It is the record that survives turnover, reorganizations, and the next new leader who thinks history started with them. When someone blocks your growth, do not chase their approval. Secure your proof. Keep a personal archive of key emails, versions, sign-offs, and dates. Write summaries after critical calls. Save the policy link you relied on. Make sure your work can be explained without you in the room. If a title or pay change is tied to a deadline, treat it like a contract event, not a promise. Ask who certifies it, where it is logged, and what happens if it is delayed. Push for measurable triggers that activate automatically. Structure is the only language politics respects. When HR tells you budget is the reason, stay calm and return to governance. Ask for the formal rationale. Ask for the written escalation path. Ask for the owner of the system that controls approvals. Quiet questions create loud accountability. Teach one trusted colleague your process, not for them, for the company. Build redundancy on your terms. If they ignore it, you still own the map in your files. Then, when the moment comes, move cleanly. No public arguments. No long speeches. Let the timeline speak. Let the audit speak. Let the clause do its work. Your goal is not revenge. Your goal is stability and fairness, enforced by documents. People who treat experience as an expense often learn, too late, that it was the only thing keeping the partnership steady.